Welcome to Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials, a show where we delve week by week into each chapter of the Harry Potter series. Arri, how are you?
Just fine.
Great.
How are you?
This week we were...
How are you? Tell me something good.
Tell me that you love me. Yeah.
No, please don't. That'll make this very complicated for both of us.
Very complicated.
No love here.
This week, we read chapter 24 called Rita Skeeter's Scoop.
A scoop of ice cream.
A scoop of shit.
Scoop of salt and straw.
Scooped. Yeah. Arri, what happens in this chapter?
Rita publishes an article about Hagrid, and we deal with the fallout.
Beautifully put.
Honestly, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if that is a good... There's a lot of stuff that happens in this chapter, but I don't know how much of it is like worth...
This chapter is also surprisingly long.
This one was like a little all over the place. Didn't you feel? Or is that just my take? That's just my take.
I liked that it opened and closed with the Hagrid situation.
Right. That's the through line. For sure.
But yes, I did agree that there was a little bit scatterbrained in the middle.
We got a lot of information in this. This was a chapter where we get a lot of information that right now we don't really know what the relevance of it is. But as you look back,
people are named in this chapter that will not appear again until I believe book 7.
Book 7.
Do you know who I'm referring to?
No.
Dumbledore talks about Aberforth.
Oh, Aberforth. Yes. Okay. Yeah?
I think it's book 7, right?
Yeah, book 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. He's name dropped.
Yep.
So random how he was mentioned too. I was like, okay. The comment about him maybe not being able to read, I was like, do any of y'all know how to read? You stopped taking English classes at age 11. There's not an English teacher at Hogwarts. I mean, they know how to, I guess they're writing essays and stuff for the different teachers. So, but there's not an English professor. They don't know how to do maths. It's like the video that our listener sent in that I passed along to you.
Yes.
Where he's like, what are you teaching them? Jury's still out. So yes, this chapter mainly centers around Hagrid and the beans that are spilled without his permission.
Arri, I know you did not mean it intentionally, but referencing beans when the most famous use of beans in fairy tale literature is Jack and the Beanstalk, which also has giants in it. Ariana!
Just give myself a little pat on the back for that one.
That was incredible.
I mean, Adam was the only one that realized that. Right
Hi
over my head.
I'm brilliant.
Totally didn't realize it. But yes, the beans. The beans have been spilt. We've got some giant connections in this one as well. So chapter 22 opens with
24.
Oh no, 24. Excuse me. Chapter 24 opens with Hermione mentioning that she used some magical hair serum on her hair. JK, I'm sorry. Did you really think that like I wasn't going to be able to sleep tonight until I knew how Hermione got her beautiful mane of a hair into like smooth, luscious locks? Girl, I could care less. Who cares? I don't. We didn't need it. I didn't need it. It was such a like important thing to mention. I was like, I don't really care.
We've moved on from the night. You know what?
We moved on from the night.
I'm moving on from the Yule Ball.
I have chosen to move on. Thank you, Joe. How weird is it that Ron and Hermione are just being nice to each other?
Like formal. Oh, hello. Pardon me.
I'm trying to like, I know, I understand sometimes if you have been friends for a really long time, or like if you're siblings, there'll be like a moment where you'll just be like, shut up, or what, you like yell at each other, and then like it's just like quiet for a little bit, and then you just kind of continue going on. But like, I don't think these two necessarily have that relationship. So
I'm going to ask a question. Does anyone in this entire book series ever apologize for anything they've ever done? This is a genuine question.
Dumbledore.
In book 6,
I think.
Well, it can't be book 7.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would know. I think it's at the end of book 5 when Harry like goes off on him. I think he does apologize.
I think that's right too.
I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe being that age when you're 14, but I still think like we talked about, there was like an initial conversation at least when we were 14. There'd just be a little bit of like okay, well, I didn't like that you did that, or like blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
It just pissed me off that you did that, blah, blah, blah. There was something.
Blah,
blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, we weren't like sitting down having a really heartfelt conversation, but there was some type of discussion about it, like addressing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a little weird to me.
Some people just don't like to address things. Some people just like to never talk about their feelings.
Could never be me. Sorry, could never be
true.
me.
Could never
I
be
like
Arri.
can't. It's like painful for me to like hold it in.
Yeah.
And also they tell Hermione that they found out, they overheard Hagrid say that he was a giant, and Hermione literally is like, yeah, duh.
Thank you. Is she the only one with sense?
This is what, we would be friends with Hermione. No, like 100%. No way we would be friends with Harry or Ron.
No.
Just Hermione.
I'd be friends with Neville.
I'd be friends with Neville. Uh-huh.
I'd be friends with obviously Colin Creevy.
Yes. Yeah, I probably would have been friends with Hermione and like Lavender and Padma. I mean, Parvati. Yeah, Hermione knew, obviously.
Girl, no, we wouldn't. We would be friends with Hannah Abbott, who's in our year.
Oh, yeah, we're not in Gryffindor.
We're in Hufflepuff.
Right, we're in Hufflepuff. Right,
Giggling along with Hannah. Future wife of Neville, right? Doesn't she get married to Neville?
No. Wait. Oh, maybe. Do they?
Isn't that the one?
You know, I always forget because in the movies they ended up shipping Neville and Luna.
It's not Luna. To be clear.
No, they don't get married.
Luna.
Maybe it is Hannah Abbott. But yeah, she's not surprised at all. Mm-hmm. She's just like, I mean, and then she says, I knew he couldn't be full giant because they're like 20 feet tall.
Right.
How did Hagrid's little daddy impregnate this giantess who is 20 feet tall?
There's a lot of questions that we'll never have the answer to. But
where did they meet? In a field? Was she about to eat him?
Let's say this.
Confused.
His little swimmers were very strong, and that's all we'll say.
I don't know why
potent
she wanted to do
potables.
I don't know why she wanted to do this. I don't like the choice. I'm just like,
I don't like having to be an adult and now think about it.
Yeah, I'm just like,
great when I was 11 and had no concept of what that would mean.
Oh, see, I think maybe because I got the talk so young, I was already like, but wait. I was like, how would that have happened? I just didn't understand.
It's incredible what you can do with in vitro fertilization these days, Arri.
I just I don't know. I'm thinking about it too much, so it's just I don't like it. I don't like it. How did it happen? How would they ever have had a life together? In a field, bitch! I swear, like where? In a cave? Where was he? How did he find? I don't even understand. It wasn't like there was like they were.
There's
really
a giant on my
ever.
peen.
Not even. I mean, how? Oh God, I don't even want to think about it. It's just that I don't know how that would work. I just really don't. Unless
I can't not think about it.
I know. This is what I'm saying. No, I was about to say, unless she had him and his dad just like raised him, but that isn't what happened. They're saying that he is half giant for sure.
He has his dad's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just like what it's just there's nothing else to say. We haven't even got into like the actual article.
The chapter.
The chapter in general. But the article that she publishes and like what she says about his mom and stuff, like I'm just like, how did his mom and his dad ever even come into contact? Ugh. Anyway, enough about the giant stuff. Harry still hasn't gotten anywhere with this egg. Yeah, for right now.
Yeah.
Harry does not know what to do with this egg, but he also is like annoyed at Cedric, so he doesn't even want to accept the help or the hint that Cedric gave him, and he thinks it's a stupid hint anyway because he's like, he told me to take a bath. But I'm like, why would you not just try that? You have nothing else to go on.
And I'm sorry, if someone gave me the password to the prefect bathroom.
Girl, I'm there that night. The next night, at least. I'd be like,
you can be sure I am never using the common bathroom ever again. Ever again. Until they change that password. Oh.
The ice cream truck.
Oh.
Get a scoop. Rita Skeeter scoop
Rita Skeeter scoop of ice cream.
Now I really want salt and straw. Oh, I might drive down there to get.
She loves a black currant ice cream.
That's Rita Skeeter.
Yeah, something English.
That
like
seems
that.
like that seems toffee, like her flavor.
A toffee ice cream.
A toffee ice cream. Did you know their milkshakes are different? They just like shake up milk, so it's like.
So it's like liquid. It's not like ice cream.
Yeah, I like ordered a milkshake while we were there, and then I was like, "What is this?"
You know what they don't do?
In the milkshakes?
They don't put their eggs in the fridge. They leave them right out on the counter.
Oh yeah, I saw that at Michael's.
Yeah, because their eggs aren't washed and bleached. So they still have their like membrane that like protects it, so it doesn't need to go in the fridge.
Well, and their eggs would be like more fresh then in that case, wouldn't they? Yeah. Wow.
Something. I don't know.
Well, speaking of eggs, Harry still hasn't figured out his egg. He hasn't cracked it. Get it?
I got it. Speaking of eggs, let's talk about how Hagrid's mother's eggs were fertilized some more.
Let's talk about some other eggs. So Harry is annoyed at Cedric because he's walking around holding hands with Cho. So to answer the question, or what we were pondering last time, something definitely happened that night.
100%.
They definitely made out and did some more stuff. So now it looks like they're basically a couple, or they're going steady.
Yeah, he pinned her.
And here we go, straight into it. They're walking to their Care of Magical Creatures lessons. May I present Professor Grubbly Plank, who is 100% a lesbian.
It's not even like it's not even
short,
this is more
cropped,
obvious
gray hair
than Albus being gay for sure. This is so
and a very strong jaw. Hot.
Can I say something? Because I listened to this chapter because we were driving around. So I was like, RJ, play the chapter. Otherwise, I'm not going to have time.
I know what you're going to say.
This voice is incredible.
I'm so glad you listened to it because I was going to play it to just be like, I need you to hear what this voice sounds like. So listeners.
Maybe I'll try to find a snippet online and throw it in.
Okay. Listeners, here it is.
I can't do it justice, and I won't attempt.
He's indisposed. That's kind of close I can get. It's still not right. It's like she's like, her mouth is like, has like saliva, too much saliva in it. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Similar. He did a similar voice for Professor Sprout. So, listeners, like we said,
what are we saying?
They're together.
But it reminded me of Trunchbull's voice from Matilda the movie.
Oh, okay. I see that.
Reminded me of.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know why he chose to do that voice for her, but it is certainly a choice.
When you have this many characters you have to voice, at some point you got to be like, I'm throwing it at the wall. Yeah. I'm throwing it all and I'm seeing what sticks.
So I feel like, I said this before, but I was waiting until this chapter to get into it. I feel like Professor Grubbly Plank, because we don't really ever know, bless you, we don't really know her first name. I don't know if we ever learn it. She is like a worldwide traveler. Like if she was a muggle, she'd be living in like one of those converted camper vans.
Mm-hmm.
Just following like a wild elk herd, and climbing into trees to study like the specific species of bats that like live in them. Like she would be that girl. So I feel like that's what she's doing in the magical world. Like she's just out pursuing. She just has an affinity for like somehow finding these very magical creatures.
She's the ideal story of what you want. You want someone who like is interested in the thing to do the thing.
But also she's very like off the grid. So that's why she's okay with like popping to Hogwarts every once in a while and like doing the lessons. And then also is like, okay, whatever, I'll just go and like explore and do my own thing. And then because her partner, she's in a domestic partnership with Pompadora
Sprout.
Parmesan. They're together. And so she has this as like, you know, a thing that she can just like pop into every once in a while. That's how she knew
there was the opening.
Yes, exactly.
Because Dumbledore said to Sprout, he was like, I know her first name. Would you like to know?
Yeah.
Grubbly's
first name.
Grubbly Plank's
your first name, like they do on the Game Up videos. Your first name.
Her first name is Wilhelmina.
Oh, you found it? Oh, Wilhelmina. Oh, perfect. Great. What a great name. Wilhelmina.
And Pepperoni Sprout.
And Pepperoni. all the names. Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina Grubbly Plank. That's
she goes by name. Will. You know she goes by Will.
Yeah, she's gotta. Will Grubbly Plank. She might be, who knows? Maybe she's non-binary. I'm going to say it. The real non-binary character, I think, in this world, it would be Tonks. But we're not there yet. So we're going to say Grubbly Plank, non-binary.
They, them.
They, them, please. Yes. And they're in a partnership with Pompadour. I can't believe you said pepperoni. Oh, that's so funny. Pepperoni Sprout. Pepperoni. I love it. Okay, great.
She's in a relationship with Portobello Sprout.
Portobello Sprout is even better because it's a mushroom.
It's a sprout.
Great.
It's an actual sprout. Yeah.
Oh, love it. So Wilhelmina has gotten somehow, once again, she has an affinity for tracking these animals. I didn't realize I did that.
I'm sorry.
I didn't realize I did it at all. I just went like this. So Professor Grubbly Plank has got a hold of a unicorn.
And this is what we're saying, Hagrid. And I'm sorry that you're going through a moment, but this is what we're saying, Hagrid.
I mean, Parvati says it at the end of the chapter, and like,
Thank
I am
you.
Parvati.
What are we doing?
It's very unfortunate this is happening with Hagrid, but like, this is exactly what a Care of Magical Creatures lesson should be. This. Exactly what she says. She's like, not monsters is what Parvati says. She's like, actual creatures, not monsters.
And even like, I'm going to say this too. We find out that the hybrid of what a Scroot is a manticore and a fire crab, whatever the fuck that is. And also, it would have been cool to see a manticore in real life. Like, I think most people would have been like, a fucking manticore.
Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like that would be pretty dangerous. I don't know. How did she even breed them together? What? Here we go again. What?
Here we go with breeding. What's going on?
Come on now. A Vila and a human is like one thing. I would just this is
the third hybrid in this book.
This is just like really pushing it for me. You know,
Harry's half Muggle. I mean, what are we doing?
The Muggle is the one that I have no questions about, and even the Vila, I'm like, sure, but I'm just so confused. So I love that she's like, they like a woman's touch. And I was like, as does Professor Grubbly Plank. So we're all on the same page here.
Good for them.
Good for them. So as all the female or non-binary students are approaching the unicorn just doesn't want any cis gendered straight men around.
How about no toxicity?
And you know what?
Yeah.
And you know what, unicorn? You go,
I'm on
girls.
the unicorn side. Yeah.
But yeah, unicorn, you right. Unicorn's like, no, this person is not safe for me.
Right.
Stomping their feet.
Yeah. Saying big sleigh, big sleigh.
Excuse me, no. Just safe space over here for me. Thank you. As it's like glowing, like illuminating. No men. I don't want any men here. No, not for me. So while all the girls are looking at the unicorn, Malfoy reveals a copy of the Daily Prophet where Rita has written an article about Hagrid. In the beginning, she says part human. And then as the article goes on, she reveals that his mother was the giantess Fred Wolfa. That's the name we're going with. All right. Mm-hmm. So Fred Wolfa, she was involved
German.
In the
yeah.
She was involved in the giant wars. Like the way I was like, okay, so first off, how do you know like exactly who his mother was? Do you think Rita's just like full on making this up? I guess not, because Hagrid confirms.
I feel like yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is there not a birth? This is what here.
Yeah, the registry.
What is it on his birth certificate? Unknown mother?
I don't know. Maybe that's how she found out.
Isn't it that his mom left when he was young, right? Not when he was like just born.
So birth certificates. Yeah, this photo, girl, his dad was that small.
Or Hagrid was that big.
But like, then how big was his mom? I'm just, no.
Trash bin sized hands.
And he's small for a giant. So like, how big was his mother? This just like, how would it happen? I don't like it.
It says in this chapter that there's a photo. When we reveal the photo, he looks to be about 11 years old and he's probably 8 feet tall. And I was like, how is no one in the wizarding community asking questions.
I think we're supposed to just the bullshit about the Skelegro, engorgement charm, like things like that. I'm like, you really think we're just? I mean, maybe if you're a kid, you're just like, oh yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I just like don't know how does she know that information? Are birth records, birth certificates public? Like, can you look up anyone's birth certificate? I feel like you can't, right? Isn't that? I don't know. But like you said, would his mom even been on the birth certificate anyway? So whatever.
She took a stab in the dark and figured it out. Good for her.
Yeah, maybe.
Investigative journalism.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was public knowledge that Hagrid's dad was with a giantess. I mean, people probably would have talked about that. People would have been like, whoa, this guy, what was his dad's name? I can't even remember. Like, he was with a giantess.
Jack.
Yeah, Jack.
Jack and his beans.
Jack Hagrid. So Harry, Ron, and Hermione try to go and see Hagrid, but he doesn't answer. And then he's basically just stays hiding in his cabin for the rest of the week. And then Hermione, encourages Harry to not go to Hogsmeade because he needs to figure out the egg. And then he's like, I think I've got a pretty good idea, actually. And she's like, oh, well, good for you. Proud of you. And he's like, yeah. Whatever. He's like, I'll just go. It's fine. So as they're going to Hogsmeade, do you know what I'm going to talk about?
A place he can go.
A place he can go. He gets to go to they're going to Hogsmeade. And then as they're going on their way, they see Victor Crumb walk out from the ship and dive into the lake in January.
Right. In January.
In Scotland.
Right. In Scotland.
I'm sorry, is this lake
Tell me that's
heated?
not hot. This man is so hot.
Hot, very hot.
Hot, very hot.
But like, is this lake like warm? I don't, what are we doing? This is January.
So I feel like it's presented like this is crazy. It's January, right? Like, it's very specifically the chapter starts and we're like right after Christmas, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be like he's so crazy, he's jumping in a cold lake. In two chapters, they are going to be jumping in the same lake. They're all doing it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, then you're not supposed to question if it's crazy or not.
Why do you think she included this? To try and give us like an impression that he's going to have a leg up for the next task? Like, I don't really understand why there was a moment included of him diving into the lake. I just don't really get why.
Yeah, I don't know. It was the weirdest part of the chapter because it's so quick and it also doesn't do anything. And I can't think of any reason it's in the chapter. And it's not even like they bring it up again so that Ron and Hermione can start fighting or something like that. Like, they don't even talk about it still.
Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't get it. It's like, yeah, that must really be it. Just so they can talk about him again. But like, just have him be like walking somewhere then. He doesn't even dive into the lake. It was so bizarre. I was like, all right. So Hermione kind of tries to like, encourage Ron to
be an adult.
Yeah, just like be okay with Crumb. Like, she's like, he's really nice, he's not at all like how you would think he'd be, being like this like world famous Quidditch player. And Ron just doesn't really say anything. And then as they go into the Three Broomsticks, they see Ludo hanging out with some goblins. And
yeah,
he
here's the other
happy.
Part of the chapter that I was like, cut. I do not care about this.
This is what I'm saying of all the stuff that you're like, why is this here? And then later you're like, oh, for that, for the
non-payoff.
Yeah, for the non-payoff.
That is actually a payoff. Somebody gets paid off.
Oh, see what you did there? So Ludo stops talking to the goblins and then comes over to Harry and kind of asks to have a private word with him. And then Harry's like, why are you with these goblins? What's going on? They don't look very happy. And he's like, oh, well, they're looking for Barty Crouch, actually. And Harry's like, oh, really?
Did Ludo you feel bold enough to talk to adults like this at 14 years old? There are a couple times in this chapter where I was like, Harry Potter is just talking. Like, I would never speak to adults if I could help it. And there's one thing he says to Rita Skeeter later that I was like, you are 14. I know she's an asshole. Shut the fuck up. Maybe children shouldn't be seen or heard.
I guess, who are you talking about? Yeah, Rita, maybe. If I thought she had done something at that age, maybe I would have. Because we were allowed to speak. You know, our mom was a therapist, so we were allowed to speak our minds growing up.
Yeah.
Sometimes for better or for worse, you know. But no, I think definitely with adults, just when you're that age, it's like, that's so rare to speak that like directly or like openly.
I just love the idea that Harry's like, why are you hanging out with these shady goblins, girl? And Ludo's like, they're looking for Crouch.
Yeah, which is a lie, first off. They're not looking for Crouch at all.
No.
Maybe they're looking for Crouch because he's saying that because of the fact that Crouch speaks so many languages, but he's like, oh yeah, they're looking for Crouch.
Right.
And then Harry's obviously interested or like curious where Mr. Crouch is. And he's like, yeah, he's has stopped coming to work and he's been sending in instruction by owl. And I was like,
right.
It's just so weird to me that no one thinks this is like a red flag. Are you okay? Did you get dust in your eye?
I'm just so touched by Bartemius Crouch.
Allergy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Allergies. I don't. It's just weird that no one. I mean, it's weird. Sorry, I do think this is like on Percy a little bit. It's like you didn't even try to go and check on him.
Hello, what are you
doing?
Or
like tell someone else that like maybe you know what? I guess maybe
I think the joke Ron made is really funny though.
Maybe I do believe that about Percy though, because of how much he wants to like how ambitious he is. Mm-hmm. So he'd be like, oh, I'm getting to do all this stuff and I am in charge. And like, sure. I guess I could see that. So then Ludo suggests to Harry that he can help him. He's like, I've taken a liking to you. How are you feeling about the egg? You know, it's so unfortunate that you're in this predicament. I want to help you if I can. And Harry's like, should you be helping me? Or like, is this normal? And he's like, well, you know, I've taken a liking to you. And he's like, well, have you, oh no. He goes, I just want to help you out or whatever. Of course we want a Hogwarts champion. And then Harry asks, have you been trying to help Cedric too? To which Ludo's like, no, I have taken a liking to you. So, and Harry's like, well, I don't need any help. Thanks. Like, that's okay. And then Ludo is like super disappointed by this. Mm-hmm. And Fred and George come up right at that moment, offering to buy Ludo a drink. And Ludo shakes them off, goes away. Harry goes back to see Ron and Hermione and then tells them what happened. Hermione is obviously very concerned because he shouldn't be doing this. He's a judge. Which, like, yeah, shady.
Why are there so many plots? Enough.
I told you this chapter is all over the place.
It back, Joe.
This is the chapter where she was like, wait, hold on. I have to tell all these. I've got all these loose ends. Let me tie them up now.
Joe plots rolling.
So right at that moment, Rita Skeeter, and his name is not Bozo. I'm sorry. This man's name is Bozo. It sure Rita is. Skeeter and her photographer with the paunchy gut Bozo. Girl. No one is actually named Bozo. Like what? That's like a name for like a clown performer.
I believe I believe Cho Chang
Bozo.
before I believe Bozo.
You believe what?
Cho Chang.
Cho Chang. So
Kingsley Shacklebolt. There's a name we'll have to get into.
Kingsley Shacklebolt is the one I like always forget about.
And then it just hits you like a ton of bricks.
Girl.
It's so shitty.
What?
She sucks.
She sucks.
No editor alive was
like,
willing to say anything. They were like, what am I to do?
No, just no awareness. Absolutely none. Girl.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it later. Book 5.
So, yeah, book 5. So Rita Skeeter, Harry calls Rita out.
Right.
He's like, I don't like what you publish, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, our readers have a right to know the truth. To which Hermione like goes berserk and is like, you foul, terrible woman, you blah, blah, blah. And just like really goes in on her. And she's not wrong. I agree with exactly what Hermione said. But Rita really does not like this. And she says, I know things about Ludo Bagman that would make even your hair curl. Not that it needs it.
Ooh.
And then Hermione storms off and they're like, Hermione, be careful. You don't want to piss off Rita Skeeter. And she's like, I don't care. My parents don't read the Prophet.
Right.
So how is that going to affect me? Like, I don't care. She can try it. And then she storms to Hagrid's hut and is banging on the door only for it to be answered by none other than the headmaster Dumbledore. Albus Dumbledore. And Hermione is like very like, oh, like it is a moment for her. She is very embarrassed.
She's like screaming at the door. Like, if you don't let me to cheer you the fuck up.
Hagrid, we don't care what that terrible bitch said about you bitch.
You insolent slag.
Fuck off. And then Dumbledore's like, and hello. It's so nice to see you. But it's great because Dumbledore's like, Hagrid, did you hear what Miss Granger was yelling? She's exactly right. It's so great. She's like not bothered by it at all. And then I think it was Harry, is like shit talking Rita Skeeter only to be like, oh, sorry, Dumbledore. And he's like, I'm deaf actually, so I didn't even hear what you said. So continue. And Hagrid is kind of, like in his feels and he's just like sitting there teary-eyed. But sweet. Dumbledore is being very sweet and he's like, look, I have received numerous letters from people that knew you and they all will be very upset if I were to fire you because they know how lovely you are and they're not worried about you being around their kids at all. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, Hagrid says, well, not everyone, feels that way. Some of them want you to follow me. And I love this line by Dumbledore because
it's so good.
But he's like, if you're looking for universal approval, you're never going to find it. It's just, and it's so nice to hear this from someone from Dumbledore, I think.
Can you say it again, Arri? Just let it sink in for the readers.
Oh.
Just let it soak in. I think sometimes it's nice to have the reminder.
If you're looking for universal approval, you'll be waiting a very long time. It's never going to happen. But it's a really good reminder. Like, I needed to be told that more as a teenager. And let alone Hagrid specifically, who is a half giant. Yeah. But I think I mean, and there is a moment where Hagrid's like, well, you're not half giant. Like, it's different for me because of this like secret I've had to keep. But I think the sentiment still stands that it's just like, no one is ever going to like you.
Right.
Or not everyone.
No one is ever going to like you, Hagrid.
No one's
Remember
gonna like
that.
You're never going to have everyone like you.
Right.
So it's important to, one, like yourself first. That's where you start and be like, do I like myself?
And if you can't love yourself,
how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here?
Let the music play.
I've been watching their
to the moon. To the moon.
Vote.org. So yeah, it's important to remember that, listeners. It's important that you like yourself, not that everyone likes you. Start there. So Dumbledore's trying to encourage Hagrid, to kind of like fuck the haters, essentially, is the subtext. And then Dumbledore leaves and our little golden trio.
He uses the wildest story about Aberforth.
Oh, right. Sorry, I skipped over the Aberforth bit.
Just because he's like, it was realized that my brother Aberforth was doing things to goats.
Casting inappropriate charms on goats?
I don't think
what does that mean?
Is that the verbiage?
Yeah. I thought wait, let me look it up.
We don't want to misquote.
But I'm pretty sure.
The good words of Albusi.
My own brother, Aberforth, was prosecuted for practicing inappropriate charms on a goat. It was all over the papers, but did Aberforth hide? No, he did not. He held his head high and went about his business as usual. Of course, I'm not entirely sure he can read, so that may not have been bravery.
What? Not Aberfussy.
No. Boobo duber that. So Fussy. Yeah, I think, but is that's kind of scary. Wait, was he like crucioing a goat?
What? I don't.
What is it? What are the charm? What is that supposed to mean?
I'm gonna say he just Wingardium Leviosa a goat a bunch, and the goat was like, enough.
The goat went and complained.
Yeah,
it's the Care of Magical Creatures department. What is it?
The control for international regulation of creatures, magical creatures, whatever.
Yeah. So after Dumbledore leaves, Hagrid's like, "Great man, Dumbledore." He always says this about him. He's just like, great man. And then he kind of starts talking about how Dumbledore was the person that advocated for him after his dad passed away. Then he's like, I never have showed you a photo of my dad, have I? So he brings one out. And then that's the photo I showed on the chapter. The cover. No, what do you call it? Chapter image?
The chapter illustration.
The chapter illustration. Oh, is it in your book? He just starts talking about his dad, and he talks about how his dad was so small he could like pick him up and put him on the bookcase, and his dad used to get a kick out of it, and he was pretty sad when his mom left. Oh, there is one.
Well, there's an image of this is so stupid.
Oh, Crumb.
Yeah, Crumb diving off the
oh my gosh. Whoa. And the little squid tentacle. What?
Yeah.
Wow. No one's worried about the squid? Jesus. I guess the squid threw Dennis Creevy out.
That is the only illustration in this chapter.
Okay. I just like, where did Hagrid and his giantess mother and his human father live? In a cave? outside on a farm, and like she just slept outside, and like they slept in the house? Like, was she like in the barn? Like, I just don't. There's no way they were sleeping in the same bed. She's huge. Were they together? Were they like in a domestic partnership? Were they married? Like, what is going on? How
what
are
was
they
the
together?
legality of their union?
How? I don't know. I just don't understand how they were together. So basically, his mom left. His dad was sad about it. Then his dad passed away, and so Hagrid was alone. And then he starts talking about how when he met Harry really reminded him of himself. And like now Harry's the Triwizard champion, and he's very emotional, and he tells Harry that he really wants him to win the whole thing because that'll show people that like no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, you can make it. And I'm just like,
this monologue took a weird turn when it routed back to Harry. And I was like, let Hagrid just experience his feelings on his own, and it doesn't have to come back to how important Harry Potter is.
Also, like, I understand what Hagrid's saying in terms of how Harry felt about himself. Famously, I don't know if Adam knows this, but I listen to books to fall asleep. And right now I've been listening to The Philosopher's Stone because I've just read it so many times. And I just read the chapter where he tells Harry that he's a wizard. And it is like, you know, Harry's like, what if I, and like the following chapters after, Harry's like, but what if I don't know what to do? And like, you know, how will I like fit in and all that? Just he has all these concerns. And so I understand what Hagrid's saying, that Harry himself didn't see himself that way. Like he very much saw himself as like an outcast who was coming into something that he had no awareness of, or like, you know, didn't know anything about the wizarding world. So he just felt very on the outside looking in, like a muggle, you know, even though he isn't a muggle born, he essentially is.
On the glass, waving through a window.
That was me waving through a window.
I got it.
Hi. But I think maybe just the only thing that I'm kind of like, that when he's talking about this is I'm like, but Hagrid, this is Harry Potter. Like the boy who lived. So there already is something about him that's like, he's a standout in the wizarding world already. I don't know. I just was like, okay, I understand what you're saying, Hagrid, but like everyone already does kind of look at Harry as a celebrity. So I don't know if that quite ties in. You know what? This is another moment where I'm just like, Joe, this didn't really work. You're trying to like tie it in.
The book. Okay,
Harry.
Here's the thing. She's done this in this book more than other books, and I don't know why all of a sudden she was like, Harry needs to feel really shocked by how famous he is. Mind you, this woman started this series with a prologue, basically chapter of like everyone around Great Britain on street corners discussing a baby's name they didn't even know.
Right.
And we're now supposed to believe that like no one knows who Harry Potter is except for the Triwizard Tournament.
And when he was at the Quidditch World Cup, no one was gawking at him there. Voldemort. Okay. So Voldemort was like the worst dark wizard, just like in the UK. Like nowhere else in the world, people were afraid of Voldemort. I'm guessing then. That's what I'm taking.
Wizards are scared of water, so they can't travel over. They can't.
It's like a murderer, you know, in a specific area. Everyone knows about the specific murderer, but then if you go outside. Yes, the Golden State Killer. Yep. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Hagrid brings it back to Harry somehow, and it doesn't really work. But it does work in making Harry feel bad because he hasn't figured the egg out yet. So, which I guess was the whole point. Wait, and I want to make sure. Harry went back to the castle later that afternoon with Ron and Hermione, unable to banish the image of the happy expression on Hagrid's whiskery face as he imagined Harry winning the tournament. And then he's talking about how the egg is like weighing more heavily on him now than ever. So I guess I'll give Cedric's hint a shot. I'm just like, girl, you should try. What is going on? Just try it.
Just try
for
it.
no
And
other
at the
reason than
you get a nice bath.
you get to go to the prefect do they say lavatory? Prefect lavatory?
I think it's I don't know.
Prefect
the
bath? Okay. You get to go into the prefect bath. Like, how cool.
Yeah.
That
you
sounds
get to
really
sit
cool.
in a jacuzzi by yourself.
With like magical waters and magical soaps and stuff. That sounds
Right.
awesome.
He's
Even
such
when
an
we were
idiot.
you're definitely at the age where you're like, oh, a jacuzzi, cool.
Right.
That's like the most exciting thing when you're 14. We got a hot tub put in my house. We couldn't sell our house, so we were like, okay, well, we'll renovate then. And my mom got a sunroom. That was what she wanted, and a hot tub. And that hot tub was very popular for all through my high school years. Everyone loved coming over and going in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fan favorite. It's a hit.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he didn't run to the prefect's bathroom. I don't get it. But that's it. That's the chapter. He's like, begrudgingly, he gives Cedric's hint a try. This kid.
What are you gonna do?
He makes it in the end somehow.
Somehow. I think it's like latter half of book 5, once he like creates Dumbledore's army, is when it's like, okay, he's actually like,
oh yeah,
a good.
He starts actually doing stuff, which like sure, that's when you were kind of 15 was when like that was when I was like, okay, I kind of know what I want to do now.
Yeah,
or like you start kind of knowing yourself a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Well, that, ladies and germs, wraps up this chapter. Next week, we will be reading chapter 25 called The Egg and the Eye.
You know what eye that's talking about?
No.
Yeah, you do, girl.
The egg and the eye. The egg is the egg, and the eye is Miss Girl watching him in the baths. Moaning Myrtle's eye.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Moody's eye. The eye.
Oh, the eye. When the fuck do we get to the pensive in this book?
At some point when he goes to see Dumbledore?
In the chapter called The Pensive.
I see. Yeah. I was like, I don't know what the.
She's like four after the second task.
Oh, okay.
You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. 37 chapters. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and on Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you'll be forced to mate with a giant.
Oh.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at HPAnxious, Instagram at HPAnxious, and YouTube at The Ampliverse. We are hosted on Anchor and recorded on Zencastr, so thank you to the both of them. And we are a proud member of The Ampliverse. Happy Pride. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Ariana. Thank you, Adam. And as always...
I was going to say pepperoni.
Pepperoni. Portobello sprout.